So we're going to remove the headlight oxidation on this Prius headlight lens, and it's a rather large lens and got moderate oxidation. All the components shown in this demo are included in the Ultimate Car Scratch Remover system. Now here is the after, and this is all done by hand, and it's quite easy to do. First off, we're going to wet sand the headlight lens. Now we're using Purple Glide, and it is a spray lubricant, and the safety sand. And the safety sand uses a 3000 grit latex abrasive. It makes a very shallow burnish, which is very easy to out by hand. Now you'll notice that I taped off the headlight lens just so that we don't go over into the clear coat finish. And I'm starting at the top of the lens, and I'm doing small scrubbing motions and working in bands, kind of left from right. You don't want to try and wet sand the whole headlight lens in long, big strokes. This is more efficient and more effective for getting a good, consistent burnish on the whole headlight lens. So we just slowly move down the headlight lens, working in bands from one side to the other. Now you can see I'm using a lot of lube. I shot this in direct sunlight. It's not optimum. It's not, bad, but it's just not efficient with the spray lube because it tends to dry out a little bit faster. So I'm having to keep it pretty wet. If you do this in the shade in a cool area, you don't have to keep applying the spray lube. Basically, you can squirt like one section and basically wet sand across from left to right just with one squirt. So again, you can see I'm just working my way down the headlight lens, working in small focused areas, working from one side to the other. And one note on the tape, you always want to use 3M painter's tape, high quality stuff. Don't be tempted to buy cheap masking tape. Cheap masking tape will leave tape residue on the clear coat, and it just ends up being not so much fun for cleanup, just extra cleanup. So buy the good 3M stuff, and you'll be glad you did. So now I'm just kind of working my way back up the lens after going down to the bottom, just to make sure that I have a nice, even sanded burnish, and I remove all the oxidation on this lens. Like I said, this is a pretty moderately oxidized lens. So now we wiped it off. Now you can see the lens has a really nice, even sanding burnish on it from the Safety Sand 3000 grit latex paper. This is going to make it very easy to polish out. So now we're at the polishing step. We're using Totally Bitchin' Scratch Remover polish, and we'll same kind of motions and same technique. You work from the top of the lens, working in small bands from one side to the other, small focused rubbing action. And the amount of polish that I'm using each time I reapply the polish is about, a squirt of about a dime or a quarter size diameter. Now the one thing you want to notice, my technique with the towel. The towel's folded over in quarters, and I'm grabbing it with my fist and putting direct pressure on a really focused part of the microfiber towel right under my knuckles. So you want to find an easy on you kind of position for this so that it makes it easy for you, ergonomic. You want to make sure that you find a nice comfortable position that you can do the whole headlight lens but still apply a pretty fair amount of pressure, because polycarbonate lenses are much harder material than a clear coat finish. So you have to put a little bit more horsepower into it. And you can see actually as I get into the larger part of the lens, I actually put my other hand on top of my right hand. And it just gives you a little bit more horsepower. Now, Totally Bitchin' Scratch Remover polish is very special. It's called a diminishing style polish. What this means is it starts out at one grit and then slowly and progressively breaks down until it stops working. So what this does for you is initially it starts out with a little bit more horsepower. and then it gradually breaks down into finer and finer particles. So it really leaves a really nice refined finish, essentially all in one step, versus having to use kind of old-fashioned polishes that are a straight grit. So one that's more heavy duty and then coming back and then refining with a second polish. This is a fantastic formula, and it happens to work unbelievable on polycarbonate headlight lenses for restoring them like this. And it really takes very little polish to do a big headlight lens like this. So you can see we're pretty much all done. A dramatic difference. Now here's the one thing that everybody misses. When you restore a polycarbonate headlight lens, you must put some type of a sealant on it. Not a wax, but a car sealant. So just any kind of an automotive paint sealant. And this protects from the UV and the elements, which have the biggest factor on headlight lenses oxidizing. So you just let it haze and cure for a couple minutes and buff the residual, and it's dramatic. You know, that headlight lens looks like brand new now. So here we have the before, pretty bad. And now the finished product. It looks like brand new, crystal clear.